Hi there, welcome back. So this is our second video for our first weekly folder. The purpose of this video is to give you a brief tour of Blackboard, which I have been made to understand that you have already received some tutorials about Blackboard. You should have some basic understanding of how to use it already. So this is by no means going to be a super comprehensive tutorial of everything you need to know about Blackboard. But I do want to make double sure that you know where to find the weekly folder and what to do in it for the first week, and how to get in here to Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. This is our virtual classroom, and it's super important that you know how to get into this space. If you don't know, especially after watching this video, if you still don't know, then you need to get in touch with me ASAP, because not knowing how to get into Blackboard and how to get into Blackboard Collaborate Ultra would be akin to, if we were having physical classes, it would be like if you didn't even know, never mind where the classroom is, but it would be like if you didn't even know where the building is on campus. So make sure that you know how to get into first the weekly folder and then Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. And that's what I'm going to show you with this video. And to do that, I am going to show you my screen. Okay, so I usually get into Blackboard just via Web Central. There's other ways to do it, but I find that's the simplest. And you'll come into the Blackboard homepage, you'll click this, and you'll see all your classes here. So you can see these are all my classes from the time I've been a teacher and at Brooklyn College, so I have a lot. This is your class, 2020 fall term, English Composition 1, English 1010, ECD for Early College Development at Brooklyn College. So one of the things that you should do, and I saw that some of you have already, but you should create a little avatar to create a more interesting space for everyone. It makes it easier to connect. It makes it easier for me to connect especially if you're using chat, it makes it a lot easier for me to connect the words to something. Even if that thing isn't your face, even if you choose something like an avatar that's not a photograph of you, that's fine. But it should be something, you know, interesting and representative of your character in some way. And to make an avatar, you click up here on that little arrow by your name, and this will come up. Go down to personal information, and then you'll have this menu, and you'll see it right there where it says personalize my settings. It specifically says you can upload a personal avatar, so that's where you want to go. You go right there. And then you can upload whatever you want. You can see that I put that silly little picture of myself on there. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a photograph of you, as long as it's somehow representative of your character. But a photo is perfectly fine. And you can browse your computer. You all know how to attach a file, I think, I would imagine. And there's further instructions in the weekly folder, which I shall show you now. So just navigate back to the classroom homepage. All right, so when you first go into our classes homepage, it will look like this, except for this yellow banner at the top. You will not see that. But you'll have these nice little pictures here of this painting by Edward Hopper. You've got Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg, the famous beat poets. They're over here. Everybody's reading a book. Everybody's having a good time with the written word, or at least deeply concentrating on the written word. And you'll see these announcements. Some of them are kind of automatically generated by Blackboard. Other ones I write. And these will often, especially in these first couple of weeks, these will be identical to emails that I send out separately. And that's because I need to make sure you're getting these messages. And in the first couple of weeks, I'm not always positive that everybody is. That's why those email confirmations are important, so that I know that I have an email address to send messages to you that you check frequently. And I don't take it for granted that the address that you have in Blackboard in the system, or even in Web Central or Community First, is actually something that you check frequently. For example, the email address that I have in Blackboard is not what I prefer. So I've given you the one that I prefer, joshuacwright23@gmail.com. It's the one that's on the syllabus. And it's the one that I'll be emailing you from pretty much all the time. So keep that in mind. If you want to reach me efficiently, that's how to do it, that email address. So when you're here, what you're going to want to do is each week you're going to have a weekly folder. There will be one for every week. Now, by the way, you can expand this, or you can collapse it and expand it with that button there. So if you don't see that when you first come in, don't panic. That's all you have to do is click on that. And you'll have this navigation panel here. Go down to weekly folders, and then you'll see your first weekly folder for this week. Simply click on that, and then you'll find all of the materials that you need for the coming week. So there will always be a set of weekly goals, as you can see, for this week. There's nothing to really do with those except read them and take note that these are what you're trying to accomplish. So this is your first task, as I just said, email me. You'll just see instructions here. And that's really important that you do that ASAP. The sooner the better. I really need to ensure that we have clear lines of communication. Of everything in this list, this is the most important thing of this folder. Everything in this weekly folder, this is the most important thing. So make sure that you do that ASAP. And then the avatar, it's just instructions here going through the exact same thing I just told you. I just demoed for you. And there's also a couple of other videos here that might explain it differently if my explanation wasn't sufficient. This is the other video that you might have watched already. If not, watch it by Thursday. And this video that I am in the process of making right now will also be in this weekly folder. And the email that I'm making right now and this introduction syllabus video will also be sent to you in an email. Syllabus quiz, you have to take the syllabus quiz. It's very easy, I think, as long as you've read over the syllabus. And if you watch this video and read the syllabus, then it should be super easy. And by the way, you can find your syllabus over here on your on the navigation panel. There it is, just click on that. And it'll show up down here. You can see it's downloaded the document for me. And there it is. So you always have access to the syllabus, and you should read it thoroughly. That's your other really important task for this. And so that's why you have to take a quiz on it. But let's go back into the weekly folder. All right, so to take the quiz, you need to get 100% to get credit. So it's either pass or fail. But you can take it as many times as you need to in order to get all the questions right. It's really just about making sure that you know this important information. And to take the quiz, you'll see that this one is different from like the avatar. If you click on the avatar, nothing happens. But when it's something, an assignment or a test, you'll see that it's underlined and you can click on it and it will take you somewhere. And that's what it'll look like. Begin syllabus quiz, brief instructions here. And you'll see that normally it won't say this. Normally when there's a quiz, there will just be a single attempt. And as I said in the other video, we'll only be doing a few quizzes early on. But most of the time they will only be, you'll have one go. Whereas this one you can take as many times as you need to. And you'll see a due date here. This is due on basically by the start of class on Thursday, by the start of our synchronous class on Thursday. That's when you have to complete this. And then you can just click begin. I don't foresee this presenting any great challenge to any of you. I hope not. It's not meant to be difficult. And then the other thing you have to do for this week is the introduction forum. So this is discussion boards, which you'll be doing a lot more of as we go down the line. And whenever you have to do a discussion board, there will be a link to the discussion board in the weekly folder. And you can see it underlined, so it's a link. And if you click on that, right, so it'll take you into the forum and the discussion board. And what you have to do is press this where it says create thread, and you'll see that prompt there of what you're in response to. For subject, you can just put anything. You can put hi, my name is, or introduction forum, intro, hi, my name is Jim Bob, whatever your name might be. Anything you want to put in there is fine. And then you can just type into the content field. Don't do this. Don't attach documents. Don't write it as a Word document and then attach it. That's just another moving part. It's better if you just type it into the content field. You're not writing essays here. These are just kind of, as we go forward, they're going to be responses to the readings, guided responses. But they're not essays. So in this one, you're just introducing yourself according to this. But you can drift away from this a little bit. This is just to prompt you to state some things about yourself. But you can say whatever you want about yourself in this content field. And that's kind of the direct opposite of the papers when you submit drafts and papers, because then you will want to submit it as an attachment. But here for the discussion boards, always just put it into the content field for the discussion boards. So submit that of all right. Right, and then after you've submitted it, you'll be able to see all the threads that have been created. So everybody that's posted, you'll be able to see a whole list here. And you'll need to respond to somebody. So the way to do that is to click on the thread. So let's say you wanted to respond to Jim Bob, and then you'll see it right there. You'll see the original post, and all you have to do to reply is hit reply. So you'll pretty much always have to do a short response to at least one other classmate. And for this first post, it's just a response of a minimum 75 words, just replying to something that the other person said in their original post. So it could be whatever you want. That's very interesting that you're into. Whatever that means. And then you just have to click. Right, so you see it'll all be there. You see the responses. And then you can leave that thread to look at them all by clicking on OK. And it'll take you back into the complete list. And then you'll go back to the weekly folders. So as we start more discussion board forums, you'll be able to see them all and look back at them by just clicking on the discussion board. So for now, there's just one forum, but there will be a whole list of forums. And to get into it, you'd go to introduction forum, and then you'll see all the posts in that forum. And then you can get back by clicking on OK. But again, there will pretty much always be a link in the weekly folder to the discussion board. With the exception of, I am going to start a community discussion board. Again, that's going to be a place where you can just talk to each other about anything, just to create a social space. But except for that, the link will always be in the weekly folder. All right, and then I'll often put in I'll call it maybe an optional poetic treat, or maybe like an optional little movie treat or something like that. Something, I guess, cutesy, some cutesy title for it. But these are just recommended. They will be related to the themes of the current weekly folder. This one is just kind of an inspirational poem, especially if you're feeling stressed out. It's read by Michael Caine, who you might know as Alfred the Butler from the Batman movies, from a lot of other things too, including Scrooge in the Muppet Christmas Carol, tons of other stuff. Renowned actor Michael Caine. But that's optional, but highly recommended, and I think it will entertain you, inspire you, and just add to your appreciation of the content matter for the class. And then I will always put a weekly checklist in. So you don't need to submit these back to me or anything, but they're just for you to make sure that you've done everything. So you can literally click on it. So once you email me, then you can check off that box. And then once you've watched the videos, you can check off that box. All you have to do is click on it and hit X. And so on down the line. And you'll see here too, in the days in italics, this is the suggested schedule that I think would be good for you to try to stick to. And each week we'll have that where I'll put down the days by which you should have such and such item done. But you'll see here what I just said. All outside days are for a suggested timeline, but the actual due date for everything on this list is the start time of our first synchronous class on Thursday, this Thursday, with the one exception of the peer response and the discussion board, which we have until basically midnight on Thursday to complete. So use that as a guide. Again, there's nothing you need to do here, but if you've gone down the list and there's a box that you can't check off, then it means you've left something lingering, and you should go back and do that. All right, so there's one other thing I want to show you, which is how to submit assignments, like a paper, which we don't have anything for that yet, so I'm going to show you in my other classes Blackboard page. So this is my other section of 1010 that I'm teaching. And they're doing the same thing that you are, but they're a bit ahead because they're full-fledged Brooklyn College freshmen, so they weren't delayed by the public school system. But so this is their weekly folder. And they are currently preparing to submit the first draft of the personal narrative. You'll only be doing a first draft. You'll only be doing one draft, but they're doing two because they had more time. So when you see that in the future, you'll be able to submit it through assignments, but there will always be a link to do it in the weekly folder as well. And to get through the weekly folder, you'll see the description of the assignment here. So this is the description of the paper. And you just click on the link. And then you'll see the due date, the points possible, the description of the paper will appear again. So again, so don't use this. Do not do that, because then I can't write comments in. Instead, what you want to do is attach files. Always, 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 when submitting a paper or a draft of a paper or the summaries or anything like that, any properly written essay, attach it as a file. So I'm just going to randomly pick a file for my computer. And you see that it's a .docx. So always do .docx or PDF. Otherwise, I can't write comments in it. And if you send me some other wonky kind of file, then I don't always have an easy time opening it. So just send me something that I know I can open and that I can comment in. and you can go around with a .doc, a .docx, or a PDF. And then you'll always have to click this checkbox. That means that puts it through the database, whereby it makes it particularly easy to see if you've copied anything. And if there's something you want me to know, you could write it in here too, just a comment. Let's say, especially if it's like a draft, you might say something like, I'm not so sure if the third paragraph is necessary, something like that. So if there's something that you want me to take like an extra close look at when I'm giving you feedback, then you might make a note of that in here. That's perfectly cool. And then you can submit it, and then I'll see it. It's just saying that now because I'm not in student mode. I'm on the instructor view. That's how you submit an assignment paper, which you'll have to do in a couple of weeks. All right, so I hope that this was helpful. Please, again, if there's something from this video that you don't understand, especially something that stands in the way of you completing the various tasks in the weekly folder, or if there's something that stands in the way of you being in our Blackboard Collaborate Ultra classroom on Thursday at 12:45 p.m. And then please let me know that immediately. And again, probably the most important thing you have to do in the next couple of days is to send me an email confirming that that's an address that you check frequently and thoroughly. All right. Talk to you soon. Have a good night.